Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again for joining us for today's webinar, Driving Quorum Through Technology, the Future of Digital Voting and Resident Engagement, presented by Concierge Plus and GetQuorum. So for today's session, we're going to be going over an introduction to both Concierge Plus as well as GetQuorum, and then dive right into the impacts of technology on community governance and the impact it is making on the overall resident experience and boosting engagement. To kick things off, I'm going to introduce our panel for today's session. Ben, if you could jump in there.
Sure. Hi, thanks, Mark, and hi, everyone. And also thanks, Dickson, for having us on here. My name is Ben. I'm one of the original co-founders of GetQuorum. Super excited to be here to discuss the challenges that face property managers, CAMs, and boards with respect to resident engagement. So happy to be here.
Hey Ben, thanks for having me. This is exciting. I'm Dickson Chu. I'm the CEO of Concierge Plus. So I look after product and technology and whatever else the CEO wants me to do. Look forward to just sharing an overview of what we do as Concierge Plus, and then this great partnership that we have with Ben and GetQuorum.
All right. Thank you both. And Dickson, I'll introduce you for your portion of the presentation.
All right. Why don't we just go to the next slide? A few words here, but the highlights are we've been around for a while. Depends how you count, whether it's 15 or 18 or 20 years. As you know, startups kind of move around a bit in the early days. But essentially, we think of ourselves as a experience-based property management solution that's probably the most comprehensive in terms of features, serving both residents, owners, and property management companies. We have about 300,000 doors under management, and we're growing. We actually have clients all over the world, but we're primarily in the U.S. and in Canada. Okay, so next slide. When I mentioned, being a comprehensive platform, we do serve sort of the whole ecosystem, meaning we have clients who are single building, single property owners. They're self-managed and they use us for a bunch of our capabilities for doing that. We certainly are focused on two things: the property managers, who are our clients, and then their clients, the residents. And so we provide a whole suite of capabilities that allow residents to book amenities, pay their monthly fees, whether it's HOA dues or rent or any number of premium services. They use it as a primary communications vehicle with the property manager. Everything from service requests. Hey, I've got a leak in my bathroom. Please send someone over, and we handle that whole workflow process. As well as communications vehicles for residents to communicate with each other. For instance, we have a feature called Forum, where you can set up a custom forum of, let's say it's the tennis group in your building, and the people who join. Think of it as kind of a Facebook inside. So a number of different features for residents, but the real power is enabling property managers to be able to automate a number of workflows, to be able to communicate efficiently with the residents, and be able to have a nearly real-time view of their accounts receivable, money coming in from the payments that we're collecting on their behalf. So we serve all the relevant audiences. We also related to that, we have board members who are users as well, and they'll get their own view of what's going on in terms of whatever the property manager wants to make sure they report. And I'm sure we'll talk about some of that with Ben as we talk about governance when we talk about boards. Okay, next slide. Okay, so fancy slide, very busy, lots of stuff here. But as I mentioned, as a comprehensive platform, in many ways, what problems do we solve, right? Well, we try to take friction out of how to manage a set of properties, portfolio properties for property managers, as well as take some of the friction out of residents interacting with their property manager. So examples might be if there's a number of things that are just manual workflows. Well, we introduce solutions that help automate some of those things and make it more efficient and make it more real time and keep all your data in one place, right, in a digital way. The other friction we solve is as a comprehensive integrated platform. There are folks that historically would be using different systems. Someone for one system for accounting, one for governance, one for access. Well, we either offer some of those capabilities ourselves in our platform, but as a philosophy, we believe in letting people do what they do best. So what we think we do best is we deliver a great experience. And in order to do that, we also integrate with best in class solutions like GetQuorum for governance, like some other systems back in accounting platforms like a Yardi or a Vantica or even QuickBooks Online. And so we pull all that together and we enable the property manager or the resident to be able to get to all these things without multiple logins and jumping to different places. So that helps with the inherent friction of just having to manage different systems that are really disconnected. We help buildings have a front desk. We provide things like registering guests and checking deliveries and booking parking spots, things like that. And at the end of the day, we provide real time visibility to what's going on in the properties as a property manager, or what's going on with, say, a service request that as a resident that I filed. So a number of different features. We have 27, 28 modules, different sets of features and counting. We keep adding things. And one of the newest things we've added is we've, like the world has moved to AI, can't avoid that. And so we're starting to introduce a number of AI features that help the use of the platform be much easier and more intuitive, as well as really deflecting all kinds of contacts and create efficiencies for property managers. Let's move to the next slide. So let me just give you an overview of a few things. So when I mentioned the idea of automating workflows, well, we do things like, automate the package tracking system or visitor registration or checking folks in. Service request is one of our biggest, our most popular used features. In that it's, I have a leak. Do I have to call the office and wait, put on hold, or send an email and wait? Well, you don't have to do that. You log into Concierge Plus, you describe the problem you're having, you submit that request, and a workflow is created on the property management side. The property manager looks at it and then responds our system back to the resident. Hey, got your request. It's in process. Here's the status, and then they can track status on the platform. As a centralized platform, it just allows for just easier management of a portfolio of properties. We have everything from a single building to portfolio property managers that have a portfolio of 2, 3, 400 buildings and 10 or 20,000 doors. And so having all that in one place and being able to have visibility across that portfolio becomes a very powerful tool. Let's move to the next slide. Now, I mentioned that communications, that's probably our most popular feature, and that's two-way communications. It's property managers sending notifications and announcements and things to the residents, but also allows the residents to communicate with the property manager. So this is the first area where we've introduced AI. So you're seeing this little box here, and this is just a screenshot. But essentially, we introduced an AI chatbot. We call it Ryan. And Ryan's there as your virtual assistant. I'm sure some of you have already experienced this in your everyday life using AI chatbots. But what's interesting about it is, for instance, I have a client that has about 120 buildings, about 11,000 doors, and we were visiting with them, and the CFO there said, "Hey, why don't you guys introduce AI?" Well, why? Well, I get probably between 75 and 100 calls a week from residents asking how-to questions or questions about the regulations. Now, theoretically, everyone who moves in gets the rules and regs book, right? The CCNR or whatever, if they're an owner. No one keeps that around. And so they call the office. And it's everything from, this is one of my favorite ones. It happens a lot. This particular client happens to be in New York, and it's, how many pets can I have in my apartment? Well, it's in the regs, but no one's going to look that up. Well, the alternative is someone at the office has to take that call. That's 5 or 10 minutes of looking it up or responding to their request, which you should do. And think of that times 100 a week. Well, what we've been successfully able to do is to deflect those calls. Residents get what they want, which is they just want an answer. And now we have a answer in regular English, pulls and summarizes what it says in the regulations, and they're satisfied. Call deflected, so that's efficiency and labor that's saved on the property management side, and the resident got what they really wanted in real time at their own control. So the example of some of what we do for both sides of that party. Next. And then, once again, we talk about, providing insights and so forth. We're constantly iterating and improving our user experience. And we keep adding to and improving, and we listen to our customers. We push software once a month, sometimes twice a month. And that's based on feedback from clients, from residents. Hey, can you do this? Or can you do that? Or, God forbid, every once in a while there's a bug, and we respond to those things right away. But what we're able to do then is have a platform that's a living, breathing thing that we tend to every day. And we're iterating and enhancing it, improving the platform, as well as improving the experience, like adding AI and so forth. So these two modules, for instance, are among our top 5 most used. Hey, what's going on with that delivery? I'll be expecting something. Well, just look at the deliveries module, and you'll see that it's in status or it's ready to pick up and so forth. So as a resident, you've got that control at your fingertips. As the doorman or the property manager or the building manager, packages come in, you scan it, you check it in, and now it's made available. Amenity bookings, very popular. Um, you're in a community that has a set of conference rooms that someone can rent. Well, a resident can log in, and say, hey, I need to book this room for next week. It walks you through the workflow, schedules it all. And here's the interesting thing. We also help our property managers create non-operating income. So some of these amenities might be a premium service. Hey, the conference rooms are available, but there's a $20 an hour charge for it. That's all built into our platform where the resident books. It's just like booking travel online. You're booking the room, you're paying, and we handle all of that on behalf of the resident and the property manager. All of this has all sorts of data that comes off of it, right? And so what we've also done for a property manager is we create a number of reports that they want to see. Hey, how many times was a barbecue booked, or how much did I make on conference rooms? or just activities. Looks like I'm seeing a lot of service requests for plumbing problems. What's going on there? So, that's one of the byproducts of the usage side is we provide a lot of data to the property managers to really manage these assets. And so at the same time that we're providing efficiencies, we're providing a modern experience for residents. I mean, we're all consumers and we live in this world where it's connected and you ask yourself, well, shouldn't there be an app for that? Well, we have an app. So everything I just talked about, it's also available on mobile. And so it starts to meet the expectations of the modern resident or consumer. Hey, I shouldn't have to like get on the phone and stay on hold and wait for someone or send an email and wait, for someone to respond. I can take action on a number of things on the app, whether it's on the browser, on the web, or on a mobile device. And so we're helping property managers convey a set of services that they're doing, but now they're getting efficiencies and they're pushing it out and meeting the expectations of the residents. And so overall, it's just a much more streamlined and better experience. Okay, next. And then last but certainly not least, we just introduced a new module under the banner of governance called elections, and it's featuring GetQuorum. It's basically our partnership with them, where you learn about a bit of why GetQuorum, and then there's a sign up page, right? That takes you over to GetQuorum. You get provision for their services. And getting activated is very simple. We've got a full integration in place between the two companies. So I'm going to use this as a launch off point, turn it over to Ben, let him tell you all about all the great things that GetQuorum's doing. And then, we'll have a bit of QA, I expect, Mark.
Yep, absolutely, Dickson. Thank you so much. Really great insight there. Ben, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks for the overview, Dickson. It always amazes me the breadth and the depth of the solutions that Concierge Plus is able to offer to your customers. As a point-driven solution at GetQuorum, where we are miles deep in one particular problem, I'm always amazed by seeing how you're able to make sophisticated problems simple for your customers. So happy to be here. Easy to see how you guys reduce friction and are a generally more smarter way of doing things as a community. I'm also super excited to be here to discuss our partnership and our integration. It really is the combination of two best-in-class solutions. So for those of you that may not be familiar with myself or GetQuorum, I'm going to zoom out really quickly. I created GetQuorum with my neighbor about 10 years ago after becoming involved in a dispute over a large-scale plumbing project in my condo. The dispute spilled into court, into mediation. It involved requisitions, owner meetings, board of directors being removed forcibly by vote, the successful tendering of a plumbing project, and finally I got myself elected to the board of my condo, which is a crazy thing to do. I served there for many years. And so it was during my time as a board member that I learned the many understandings that PMs, community association managers, and boards deal with respect to maintaining engagement with owners and governance and in particular voting. And this is what led to the creation of GetQuorum in circa 2016. So nearly 10 years later, Mark, back to the prior slide, please. Nearly 10 years later, we are one of, if not the largest electronic voting and virtual meeting platform in North America, targeting the condominium market. We offer electronic voting via ballot or proxy. Talk a little bit more about that later. We do electronic meeting notice distribution and virtual meetings that are designed specifically for large-scale annual meetings, director elections, or any other matter that requires auditable, trackable voting. Our platform offers a digital solution for monthly board meetings that includes a Zoom license, organizational tools to manage documents, calendar invites, tracks votes and is unlimited in its usage. We've got a wonderful, diverse client base consisting of communities all across North America, over 3,500 customers, large pockets of customers in Florida, DC, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, and of course in our own backyard in Ontario and out west in Alberta in Canada. We are the only electronic voting platform with a full Zoom integration, also a full Concierge Plus integration. And this allows us to offer our best-in-class virtual and hybrid owner meetings. Proud members of CII chapters across the US and Canada. And another fun fact, and I think this helps people understand how much we obsess over making sure our customers have great experience, is we've hired now over 30 full-time employees. They are all across Canada, North America, and in the States, and every single one of them obsesses about making sure that our customers have a great experience. So just before we move on, I'll pause here as you might be wondering, Concierge Plus is built, I don't know how many modules Dickson said, 28, 29, like dozens of awesome solutions that they've built for their customers. So why not build this on their own? Why partner? Why GetQuorum? These are all great questions. And so while there may be platforms that bear some similarity to Concierge Plus that have natively built their own voting platform, what we have found in our experience over the past 10 years is that those natively built platforms, voting platforms in broader management software like Concierge Plus, they are wholly insufficient and they lack the ability to meet the requirements of local legislation. So say, for example, you're in Florida, your voting platform will require proxies for HOAs, and that is for the director votes. By comparison, in the state of Florida, if you're a condo, which is different from an HOA, condos are forbidden from proxy voting and must require a secret ballot for director elections. In Ontario, there's a standardized proxy form, or you may opt into using balloting. In other words, there is a degree of variance from state to state, province to province, that makes designing a broad electronic voting solution that encompasses all of the features and functionalities that you need to serve the North American market. It makes it very, very hard unless it is the only thing you do. And that, in my opinion, is why GetQuorum is a great partner for Concierge Plus. It is the only thing that we do, and we obsess about it constantly. So by partnering with Concierge Plus, you're getting best-in-class software from Concierge Plus, and with GetQuorum, we believe that it's best-in-class service that comes with our awesome technology as well. And so, according to many of our customers, we've got mutual customers. We're able to meet the needs of any community in any jurisdiction in North America, and we'll get a little bit deeper into this as we move along. Okay, Mark. So what then, I think maybe we've got a little ahead of myself, is what then are the common challenges facing communities as it relates to resident engagement and governance? First thing you see is low owner participation. And so low owner engagement can be very challenging and can impact how communities operate. Consider, for example, the loss of quorum at an annual general meeting, or maybe even at your board, you got a resignation. If you're not able to meet and have quorum at your governance meeting, it can cripple a community's ability to function. You're not able to elect a board, you're not able to, and without a board, your leadership and the direction of your community can be impacted. Without quorum at your owner meetings, you may be unable to vote on important rule changes and finance-related issues. So I think perhaps the single most important issue is low owner participation when it comes to governance challenges. Administrative nightmares. If you're using paper-based processes, these are manual. They're prone to errors. And this is a burden on your property manager. Property managers and community managers are already stretched thin. Platforms like CP automate away the pain of massive areas of their job. However, elections are a whole other thing and a whole other type of challenge. So this is a specific challenge that you'll see, that paper-based ballots and all of the unique rules that go into each state or province make elections a little bit of a headache. Security, paper-based and paper-based voting, in-person meetings. There are, in addition to the security issues as it relates to having to store and save documents and be able to reproduce all of the auditable results, the moving to electronic voting leads to a greater degree of transparency, rising costs, and so we're seeing, we have these work with communities in Florida with thousands of doors, and without moving your ownership group in the direction of electronic notice of meeting, we see these communities spending tens of thousands of dollars a couple times a year simply printing and mailing because they have not used and they have not achieved consent for electronic voting and consent for electronic notice distribution. And I am sure that if more owners were aware of the costs that the communities incur by not moving in this direction, many of them would quickly give their communities consent to communicate with them electronically. Let's move to the next slide. So in light of all these challenges, moving in the direction of digital governance is beneficial for a number of ways. Firstly, and most importantly, in my opinion, improved efficiency. So full service solutions and platforms automate processes, reduce workload, and improve efficiency. This is most critical for the board and for the property managers to consider. Investing in new tech should not come with overhead, lengthy training, and we don't want to become yet another piece of technology to learn. You've got Concierge Plus. You don't need another piece of tech to make your elections more efficient. You need time saving and effort saving here. So consider things that without using a digital process you might be doing. You're canvassing for proxies. Maybe you're managing the proxies that are being submitted, manually tallying director elections and ballots at the meeting. These are onerous manual processes. They're ripe and full of risk. Using tech to address these issues allows your property manager to focus on the myriad of other more pressing issues, and it gives the board the peace of mind of knowing that a third-party expert, hopefully being GetQuorum, is there to ensure that your meeting is run properly. So simply put, investing in tech here should more than offset the cost by adding efficiency to your property manager and to the management of your community. Improving transparency. GetQuorum, at the end of the day, we have hosted thousands of meetings over the years, and a small percentage of them become contested. And it's not because of GetQuorum, but more so because somebody doesn't like who got elected, or they don't like the results of the election. And so I would also suggest that most communities that have a contested election, they don't know beforehand. Kind of like getting in a fender bender in your way to work when your car. Nobody gets in their car and says, well, I'm going to get in an accident today. Same thing here with transparency in your meeting. We are seeing, over the course of these meetings of the years, a small percentage being contested in court by regulatory bodies, internal investigations, and more. And so GetQuorum has been battle tested and has withstood the scrutiny of superior courts, of courts in the States, in Canada, regulatory bodies, anybody and everybody that has looked under the hood and has done an analysis on our tracking of an electronic election has been satisfied with the security and the validity of our results. Needless to say, increased owner engagement. You're looking at 2 to 3 times more participation with your ownership group. And lastly, reduce costs. If you've got a 5,000 door community, 1,000 door community, even in the hundreds, moving to a virtual meeting allows you to eliminate room rentals, allows you to move in the direction of electronic mailing, and can generally help you reduce costs associated with your in-person meetings. Pardon me. Let's go to the next slide, please, Mark. Okay, so what comes along with working with an electronic platform like GetQuorum? We've got a couple of different pillars that I'll show you on the next slide. But from a definitional perspective, here's what we offer and what you should be expecting if you're looking at other options in the market. First of all, electronic voting. Now, electronic voting can be broken down into a couple of different categories, shall we say. The first is an advanced electronic vote. This is cast directly by an owner. So I am voting on my own behalf for the director and I'm voting ahead of an election. Certain states require it. Certain provinces give you the option to use this style of voting. We are agnostic with respect to whether we recommend it. It just is or it isn't. It is up to our client to decide or up to their state legislation to determine what is required of them. Some states or provinces, depending on what is being voted on, will require a proxy, which is a whole other thing. A proxy is a legal document that you are signing, which will be general in nature or limited, which gives another member of your community the right to act on your behalf. So I, Ben, cannot attend this meeting. I, Ben, give Dickson Chu my proxy, and a limited proxy would say, Dickson, when you go to the meeting, I am limiting you to only voting for Mark to be on the board. That is an example of a limited proxy. You have limited the options available to the proxy holder. By comparison, a general proxy, which is also commonly found, would say, I, Ben, give Dickson the authority to vote on my behalf at his discretion at the meeting. So Dickson will listen to the candidate speeches and vote. We'll listen to the pros and the cons of the bylaw or the material alterations and will vote based on his own discretion. So very different, but a similar in that they are both allowing an owner that is unable to attend a meeting to participate in advance of the meeting. So GetQuorum offers either of these options depending on what is most suitable. And then finally, a real-time vote. This replaces the in-person paper ballot in the box. This is a live vote. It's cast during a meeting, usually during a short voting period, and is more often than not considered completely confidential. So those are the different types of electronic votes. And there are many electronic voting platforms. Now, what makes GetQuorum different is that we also have integrated that with Zoom. We'll talk about that in a second. But this dovetails into what a virtual meeting is. A virtual meeting, in the context of this discussion, is held typically on a webinar or a webcast like Zoom or Microsoft Teams. But the key thing is that owners are able to attend, participate in motions, voting, Q&A sessions through telephonic or electronic means in the same way that they would were they there at present in person. And so it is the recreation of all of the rights and abilities to act online in the same way that an individual would do so virtually. Mark, let's move along. So the GetQuorum platform, just quickly here before we move on to talk a little bit more about the integration. 4 pillars: electronic voting, that's your proxies, your balloting; virtual meeting, that's whether you're doing a fully virtual meeting, everyone's online, or a hybrid meeting, as may be required in certain states, for example, where you've got an in-person location, but you're also broadcasting to your ownership group. We've got great offerings around that. That's the second pillar. Then you've got reporting and analytics. Who won? By how many votes? Did your ownership receive the notifications on time? Did they open it? Did they read it? All the analytics you could ever possibly imagine in there. And then lastly, our notice distribution. All of this is wrapped inside of our service layer. So everything is done for you, powered by our technology, but is driven by our customer success team. So we are setting everything up from beginning to end. All right. So I'm deliberately brief here, deliberately not giving product demonstrations. Anything that involves a demonstration of how the integration works, how voting works, a broader discussion, more than happy. We love talking about our product. I'll give you my contact information. You can reach out to me, reach out to my sales team, reach out to Dickson. More than happy to show you, but we're really here just to make sure you understand the broad functionalities that the partnership offers, and then begin to explain to you what the value of not just the partnership, but the technical integration, which is completed, how that will benefit all of our mutual customers. So what we are actively looking for now are Concierge Plus customers that are looking to work with GetQuorum. And so what the integration does is addresses one of the key challenges facing many communities, and that is the source of truth. Kind of dramatic way to refer to things, but it is a challenge in this business for vendors like GetQuorum to understand where's the most recent and update set of data. Where can I, as your vendor, where do I need to go so that I am working with the most active and current set of data on who your ownership is? Most vendors will refer to this as your roster. And so Concierge Plus is that source of truth for you. And what that allows Concierge Plus to do is maintain your resident and owner database inside of their platform. And their platform will now push these changes and the entire roster itself into GetQuorum. This ensures that we, as your voting vendor, are working with the most updated and current data. The roster will refresh every day on a daily basis. So once you make the connection, all a property manager would need to do is say, oh, we've got a unit sold. Someone's moving in and out of 101. Here's the new information. And then that day, GetQuorum will be notified of a change. And if the election is called within the day, then the roster has already been updated. What this does, it is ensures that there's no data manually being shared. This is all done programmatically behind the scenes. The sync happens on a daily basis. So when your meeting arrives, the time to serve electronic notice of meeting, GetQuorum already has all of the right data and is able to serve to the right group of owners. This means it's Excel spreadsheets aren't being mailed back and forth. That is not a secure way in this day and age to be communicating sensitive data. And this just eliminates the opportunity for errors and reduces the need for data modeling or formatting spreadsheets. All of the complexity of getting your data, which is required by your voting partner, into GetQuorum has been solved and is automated using this integration. The second phase of our integration, which is currently being completed, and I believe in a couple of weeks, Dickson, we're going to have another call to highlight how this all works. We'll be passing appropriate data from GetQuorum back into the Concierge Plus platform. And this will make for an even smoother experience for the ownership group and will drive more engagement. Our vision is that with a simple API connection between GetQuorum and Concierge Plus, you can provision GetQuorum services, you leverage our service, you leverage our expertise, you leverage our technology, and your ownership group still doesn't need to leave Concierge Plus in order to participate in their elections. So it's a really exciting, a very unique partnership, and we look forward to sharing more with you over the coming weeks. But for now, if you are a Concierge Plus customer and you would like to work with GetQuorum, put your hand up, send us an email, get in touch with us. The integration is tested, it's ready to go. We just need some customers using this, particularly on the CP side. Conversely, if you're a GetQuorum customer and you'd like to learn more about Concierge Plus, let us know, let them know. We're happy to make the introduction. As far as existing customers, if you want to connect GetQuorum to Concierge Plus, you simply need to request your API key inside of Concierge Plus and provide that to your customer success manager at GetQuorum. Once we have received that, we will connect the account and the live daily roster sync will begin. And this eliminates the need for any kind of manual data sharing. And this we believe to be a great value to all of our mutual customers. And so with that, Dickson, I think I'm done my part here and happy to answer any questions.
That was outstanding. Hey, just one quick thing about getting an API key. Sometimes for folks who may not be as technical, sounds kind of mysterious. It's actually really simple. You log in as a property manager, as an admin to the concierge site. You navigate on the left menu bar down at site admin, and there'll be a menu item there called APIs, and you click on that, and you'll pick the GetQuorum API, and it'll generate the key, and you just cut and paste that and send it off to Ben's team.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Dickson. Great presentation. So now I'm going to formally invite everyone on the call here today. For any questions you may have for our panel, simply just fill out your questions using the Q&A chat box at the bottom of your screen. But I see that we have a few already in here, so I'm going to take a look real quick. All right, so we'll kick things off towards you, Ben. So we have a question here asking, does electronic voting factor in cumulative voting?
That's a yes. Short answer is yes. Depending on what state or province you may be in, we've likely already served the community there. So cumulative voting, if you're in the state of New York, might mean something different than it does if you're in the province of Alberta or in the state of Florida. So it really doesn't matter where you're from, but as long as we've got a good idea of your requirements, yes, we factor in a variety of different ways that we've seen cumulative voting being executed. That's a good question. Thank you.
All right, awesome, bud. Another question from, I believe it's a Mia. She is asking if the integration between GetQuorum and Concierge Plus comes at additional cost.
So yes, it does. It does come with an additional cost. And I think the key thing to remember is that when you are working with GetQuorum, you are essentially working with a tech-enabled service provider. So when you work with us, the value of what you're paying for is an individual that will work with you directly the entire way through your election, from ensuring that the sync is done properly, setting up of your ballot, setting up of the reminders, making sure you are compliant with the jurisdiction as we see it, making sure all of your questions are answered, any issues with your ownership group, all the way through to, depending on if you're actually hosting your meeting on our platform as well. We also, if you are hosting your meeting on our platform, which the majority of our customers do, GetQuorum also sends a representative to your meeting. So at your virtual meeting, you'll have a GetQuorum representative live, not an AI bot person yet, although I think we might work on that, Dickson. But you'll have a live individual from GetQuorum at your virtual meeting there to execute the voting period to ensure that the results are interpreted properly and that any and all of your questions. So this is why there is a subsequent charge for using our service.
All right, thank you, Ben. Just looking over some questions here, Dixon. I saw that you answered in the chat already, but there's been a few questions in regards to API integration and where to find it on Concierge Plus. So why don't you go over with the group where they could find the key for their API integration to get everything live on the CP side of things?
Yeah, they should be able to go to the site admin menu item, and there's a API section, and they'll see available APIs there. But Amia just, I think, just jumped on there and said, "Hey, I don't see the GetQuorum API." So, apologies for that. When we're done with this call, I'll double check with my product team. It should be live. As Ben mentioned, we have the integration in place and we've been testing it. But it could be a timing thing. We haven't pushed all the latest changes that came in place last week live yet.
We're on the cutting edge here, Dickson.
Well, it's real time. We're trying to iterate and go as fast as we can.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Dixon. Just a friendly reminder for everyone on the call, any questions could be submitted via the Q&A chat box at the bottom of your screen. But we did have a couple that came in ahead of today's session. One of them being towards GetQuorum. So Ben, attendee previously asked in regards to the proxy voting process, how we handle electronic proxies, as well as do we have any tools to handle paper-based ballots that may come in?
So electronic proxies are stored in a secure manner in the same way that a electronic ballot would be stored inside of our platform. They're treated almost identically. There are some limited exceptions where customers that are saying, like, say for example, you're a condo in the state of Florida, you can use a proxy to vote on a material alteration, and there are instances where the access to how many proxies have been submitted and some of the finer details that would never be disclosed for an election. So we've got a varying degree of, depending on where you're coming from, we know exactly how to treat and handle proxy balloting or proxy votes. And then with respect to paper-based proxies, we have a system. So let's say you're a property manager, you're heading into your meeting, you log in to GetQuorum, and we show you that you've got, 100 proxies submitted to you, and then someone shows up at your door and is like, well, here are 6 paper-based proxies. So what to do? So GetQuorum allows you to find the unit holder. So unit 101 came and given you a proxy. You go into GetQuorum, look up unit 101, click add paper proxy. GetQuorum will interpret the election and ask you all of the pertinent questions. So which candidates, what are you voting on the bylaws? Then you upload and attach the PDF file of the paper proxy. And essentially what GetQuorum does is digitizes paper proxies. And this also has downstream benefit to the owner heading into a virtual meeting, because what can also happen is, 101 can come and give you a proxy on Monday, and then on Tuesday, guess what? They show up at the meeting. So now they've showed up to a virtual meeting, but they've given you a paper proxy. How can you ensure that there isn't double counting? So that's why we encourage our customers, digitize the paper proxies, upload them. That way, when Unit 101 shows up to your electronic meeting and GetQuorum will say, hey, we recognize you, Unit 101. You have a proxy on file. Would you like to revoke that proxy and vote live, or are you simply here to observe and you'll leave your proxy on file, thereby not disrupting anything that's previously happened? So very flexible system. Seen so many meetings that these are common occurrences that our service and technology can handle.
All right. Awesome, Ben. Thank you. All right, so for you both, I see there's no more Q&A being submitted, so I think we could wrap things up today. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Ben, Dickson, any closing remarks?
No, I think we're thrilled about this partnership. It just to echo what Ben was saying earlier. Look, as you guys have heard, and yet as you can see, GetQuorum is very deep, and they do what they do super well. We want to do what we do well, but we don't want to wander into developing a half-baked feature just to have it. We want to partner with best-in-class solutions. And just like we would never build our own accounting system for the back end, we partner and we integrate with a number of back-end accounting systems in the same way. We have no interest because we're just not going to do it well. We're just not going to build a governance system like GetQuorum has. And right now, I just feel like we've gone down the right path. We partner with a great partner. We can offer the awesome experience to our clients.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Dickson. Super happy to be here and super happy to have this integration and partnership, and look forward to working with you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. That concludes today's webinar. Appreciate the support and hope everyone has an awesome day. Thank you so much.